Hi, I'm back again today. Hopefully you guys have fun and you checked out my Craigslist seance video yesterday. That video is hilarious. If you did not check it out, go check it out. Now, however, when I went back to go do all of my YouTube Sky of Myth things, I noticed that my lip gloss lost his mind in that video and made it look like I had crust on the side of my lip. So ignore that. It's the stupid lip gloss. Anyways, hi, I'm here. I'm here again. Um, I noticed that I did tell you guys that I did study mythology and folklore, but I didn't tell you how. Okay, so yes, I had a teacher. Yes, it was a whole class. Yes, I did go on a field trip, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Okay, so I'm doing my thing. I'm going to school. I'm trying to live right by life like I'm supposed to. Remember, I told you guys like I've lived 1,000 lives. So I'm doing the right thing. I'm being a good person, and I go to school, and all of a sudden, my professor tells us that we have a field trip. And so the field trip was just basically like if you wanted to come, it would be extra credit. If you did not want to come, you just did not have to show up. So, of course, I showed up. Of course, I wanted to go to the field trip, and the field trip was a real life treasure hunt. So my professor, he has like all of these like old ancient looking maps and all of this mythy stuff. Of course, he teaches mythology and folklore, so he has a hold of some relics. Okay, he has his hands on relics. He's gotten a hold of some. He probably still has them to this day. Very eccentric man in his late 50s. Okay, and he basically told us where to meet him at, and we went to go meet him, and everybody was doing good. He had food for us. He had stopped by Wendy's. He had got everybody some food, and we we did not eat yet or anything like that because we hadn't even started the trip. Like, we had just pulled up, but he had let us know like, hey, you guys don't have to pay for lunch today, blah blah blah. I'm definitely going to, give you guys some food. I went to Wendy's, blah blah blah. He was just telling us what was going on. So he pulls out the map. The map is in a glass casing, and it has like a chain wrapped around it, like a old crusty chain with like old black paint on it. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And so basically, the treasure hunt was some myth about it's a guy. He basically wanted to sell him his soul or whatever, and instead of the devil, a demon came instead, and the guy caught the demon. And so basically, we were going to treasure hunt to find like the shackles that he kept the demon in or whatever. So it was supernatural. We were my teacher, my professor, he is obsessed with like theology, mythology, folklore. He did go into, he did teach us a little bit about theology too. Of course, you have to go into that if you are going to study. Theology is just as, serious as mythology, folklore, whatever. And he really wanted these. He wanted these for spiritual reasons. He wanted them because he was beefing with another professor that keeps finding cool things before he does, and he just feel like it's not fair. And he told us that it was nothing dangerous about the situation because, I mean, the myth wasn't that, the demon was still in the shackles and we was going to have to battle him or anything like that. It was just that, hey, that was a myth. The myth is over now. Let's go get the shackles so I can have something cool. I can give you guys extra credit, and I could possibly pass this off for some funds or whatever else I might want to do. So we're cool with our professor. He's cool. We're going to call him Professor R. Okay. And so Professor R is really cool. He's not bothering us. He never bothered us. We all love his class. We always have fun in his class. He's taught us about Achilles. He's taught us about Chiron. He's taught us about the whole pantheon. He's taught us about everything. Okay, so we know like basically the blueprint to the world almost, you know, like through talking to him about like the old ancient tales and piecing them to modern day and how they're still, you know, like how they're still relevant. Okay. And so we talk about the Wendy's, we see the map, he pulls the map out, and it was me, it was another girl, it was three other guys that had came with us or whatever, and then it was Professor R. And so me and her, we was happy that it was it was guys, because we're like, we're out here, we're outside, we're in the woods, blah blah blah. And I mean, she had whatever she had on her, and you know, I'm gonna Sky of Myth is going to keep whatever she keeps, whether if it's a fingernail or something on her, so that way she can bust up out of somewhere. So just know that I feel her on that. But it was, but yeah, it was the guys, and then it was Professor R, and then it was us. Okay, me and her. And Professor R, he never told us, you know, anything. He did tell us how to read this map though. Like he had been giving us quizzes and tests on old ancient maps, like what does this symbol means? What does this mean? What does that mean? So we know how to like read this map as we're looking at it. So he's not talking to us and teaching us. This is extra credit. You know, like we're outside. We're in the field with it now with him, you know. So we're looking at the map, and I'm looking at the map, and I noticed that in the map has little footsteps on them, like to tell us like where to go, but the footsteps were like shaped like little pieces of blood, like little drips. Like that's what it looked like little drips was coming from the foot part. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, why does it have to be so spiritual? Or why does it have to be so creepy? But I guess that's just how it goes. You know, like in modern day, we're not used to seeing things like that, like on a day to day basis. So, of course, it would seem creepy, or of course, it would seem weird, you know. So, of course, I always check myself and get myself in check, because who signed up for this? Me. Who's out living 1,000 lives? Me. Who put themselves in this position? Me. Who wanted extra credit? Me. So I need to shut up at this point, right? So, but I wasn't the only one that had said it, because one of the other guys, we'll just call him B. B said something about it. He was like, okay, well, Professor R, what does the drips mean? Like on the footsteps, like you never had that in a quiz or that in the course or anything like that. And Professor R was like, oh, just don't worry about that. That's just a part of design. Some people back in the ancient days, when they made maps, they put their own twist to it, and this was this artist's twist. And he was like, okay, well, did they have an artist make it, or did they make it? And he was like, of course, some people will have an artist make out a map for them, because a lot of people could not read, a lot of people could not write. A lot of people had a missing toe, a missing finger. They were feeling some type of way. The plague was coming, you know, whatever. It was always something. So he said that a lot of people would have like pay someone to do it for them, and that's actually a hustle for like people back in that day that knew how to like draw, knew how to use like writing utensils and stuff like that or whatever, and so on and so forth. And so he explained it to us like that a little bit, like, but he was like very sharp with it. Like it was almost as if Professor R didn't even trust us. Like he thought that we were like gonna find them and then go to BBC America and like be famous tomorrow. Okay, so he didn't even trust us, even though we were in the field with him. And so, okay, B, he just took the answer or whatever. And then I was happy that B had asked, because I didn't have to ask, because I was already feeling some type of way about me feeling some type of way. And so I just kept on, you know, I put my jacket on. The girl, she put her jacket on. We'll call her Candace. Candace put her jacket on. I put my jacket on. B and the guys, they didn't have a jacket. They didn't even care. Well, first of all, we didn't even think we were going to be with Professor R the time length that we were with him, first of all, okay? We thought that we were going to be with Professor R like the length of the class. The class usually is like, excuse me, usually like 2.5 hours, and depending on what Professor R was talking about. So we didn't plan on being with Professor R for like 7 hours or nothing like that. So of course they didn't have a jacket. They didn't care. And so Professor R was like basically getting like everything together. He asked B to take pictures of the map. He asked him to take pictures of it on his phone, on Professor R's phone. He's like, I'm gonna hold the map up and you take pictures of the map on my phone. So Professor R, B takes the pictures for Professor R, and then we decide to just go on ahead and leave. And so Professor R is leading us now into like a wooded area. It's not dark, but it's dark because of the overcast of the trees and the shade and stuff like that. It's not really like pitch black outside or anything like that. And so we're walking, and Candace, she's like half behind me, half on the side of me, and B and them, they're walking, and they're like a little bit ahead of us, and they're doing their thing. And so it got foggy. They got foggy all of a sudden. And Professor R, he had took like this thing out of his pocket. It was like, it looked like a compass, but it wasn't a compass. It was more so like a stopwatch, or something like one of those Casio stopwatch things that you could press the button and it make that beep beep noise. And he did that. He pulled it out and then he pressed that, and he just kept pressing it. He didn't say anything else. He just kept pressing it. And so we're looking at Professor R like, what is Professor R doing? I thought that Professor R was doing something regarding the fog. Like he couldn't see. Maybe it was a compass. Maybe he was trying to just like mark like where the fog was at or whatever. And that was it. That's what I was thinking. But here come B trying to scare everybody, talking about some Professor R. He got all the stuff to keep this thing in check or whatever while we take the shackles off of it. I was like, he never said it was going to be there, so I'm not looking for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see it. I don't want to look upon it. Your girl would have been a nun if she had seen it. Let's just say that. But something else weird did happen to everybody. That's why I'm telling y'all about this story time. So we kept walking into the fog. And before, we couldn't even see each other. We couldn't see each other no more. Now I'm panicking. I can hear them talking, but I can't hear them. They can hear me talking, but I can't see them. I'm sorry. I can hear them talking, but I can't see them. I can't find them. They can hear me talking, but they can't see me. They can't find me. And the most person that we all heard talking was Professor R. Everybody heard Professor R. Like every now and then, like, well, from what I was told, at the end of this, you're gonna know how I know this, but every now and then there's other people like B and Candace, they said they would hear, like, of course, me talking, or hear B talking, or hear Candace talking, but mostly it was Professor Raylan. And the weird part about it is Professor Whalen was like saying something that we didn't know what he was talking about. He had never taught us that before. Like he was saying names that he had never told us, and dates and times and stuff that that we wasn't even in his class on that date or that time. Like that class we hadn't even signed up for it yet. We were still in the last semester still. Okay. So it was weird. That was weird. And it was like, you couldn't even really hear what he was saying for real. It sounded very, very muffled, or like he was mumbling or whispering to somebody close by. That's what it sounded like. So everybody was chilling. Everybody was chilling until the fog came. The fog came and made everybody scared to death. I started running because I didn't know what else to do. So I wanted to run out of the fog. I'm breathing hard. I'm crying. My lashes is falling off. I'm feeling some type of way because B done scared me already. And so I don't see anybody once I get out of the fog. I finally get back out the fog too. Yes, I ran and ran and ran until I got back out the fog. When I got back out the fog, nobody else was out there. It was just me. And I was standing there. I was waiting for them. I was waiting. And then I heard Professor R's Casio thing again. So I'm like, oh, they must be close because everybody got split up. Maybe Professor R had to go find everybody. So Professor R, he comes out of the thing next, and the fog, I'm just calling it the thing. I watched too many movies, but Professor R, he comes out of the fog next, and I'm huffing, I'm puffing, my lashes is all stuck to my cheek and my other cheek, and I look a hot mess, and I'm crying. And Professor R, he runs over there, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And blah blah blah, and what happened, and cha cha cha, and why weren't you guys behind me, and yada yada yada, and all this kind of stuff or whatever. And so, Professor R, he couldn't understand, like, what am I crying about? What's the problem? Why am I scared? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I had to tell him, like, Professor R, like, everybody could hear, like, everybody talking, but everybody couldn't find everybody in that fog in there. And they can't find you. They can't find me. Nobody can hear nobody. I mean, everybody can hear everybody, but because I can hear them saying, like, you over here, you over there, you blah, 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 come here, come to me, I'm right here, I'm by this tree, blah blah blah, cha cha cha. Like, everybody was saying that part, but it was also the muffledness of Professor Raylan talking in the background, the muffledness of, like, Candace talking in the background too, on top of us talking to each other. It's like some of that was us, and whatever the other, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was echoes of the forest, or echoes of the, spiritual plane. I don't know what Professor Raylan opened up when he took that damn map in the forest part. Okay, I don't know what he opened up, but whatever it was that was on that chain, that's what did it. Okay. And so, like, maybe 5 minutes later, B and another guy, he walks out of the thing, and Candace, she's still in there, and everybody panicking, everybody crying, everybody jumping up and down, everybody mad. B starts cussing out Professor R. He starts yelling at him. He want to know what's going on. He want to know, why did he lead us here today? What is he trying to do to us? He's a creep. He's this, he's that. Like, he's going off on Professor R. And Professor R is like, what are you talking about? How are you talking to me like this just because it's some fog outside? You need to get a hold of yourself, and blah, blah, blah. And you've already been in my class for long enough, so you already know how things get, and blah, blah, blah. And so B, he finally calms down, and then Candace walks out of the fog. Guess what she got? She had them. She had the shackles. They was old. They was rusty. They was crusty. They was nasty. They looked like they had went through 100 winters and 100 summers, and 1,000 winters, 1,000 summers, 2,000 winters, 2,000 summers. And she had them. She had them in her hand, but she was in a daze. She wasn't crying. She wasn't whining. She wasn't complaining about the fog. She didn't say anything. And Professor Raylan had ran over to her, and he was like, what's going on? And how did you find them? And I'm the only person that had the map. And how did you find them? She said she was just walking, and she walked into them. That's what she said. So B, he said that he feels like Professor Raylan was messing with us. He feel like Professor Raylan wanted to do an extra credit thing, and he put the shackles out there, and he don't believe the story, and he don't believe it was no demon, and blah blah blah, and cha cha cha. And this is partly because he's jealous because Candace was the one that found the shackles. Okay, he's pissed because he wants to be the person to find them, and he think he being slick because he got to see the map more, because he was the one that Professor R asked to take the picture, and stuff like that or whatever. So I got, well, at the end of the day, Professor R, he got this old box. It was like a chest, like a small one though, not a huge one. It was just a small chest, and he got it, and he put he put them in there, and he gave us extra credit. Everybody got an A. Everybody got an A. Everybody participated. And Candace, she never came back to class. She never took her finals. She never did nothing. She never even came back ever again. She never even came back to the school. Like, I never seen her in the food court. I never seen her in the hallway. I never seen her come to Professor Raylan class no more. Nothing. Candace never came back. B said that he don't even think Candace was ever a student. He think Candace was a setup, and he think this and he think that. But that was one of the stories that I did experience something weird with everyone else. I know the story that I had told you guys yesterday. I was screaming from my car and nothing was happening to me. But this particular story, I did hear the voices too, just like everyone else heard them. And yes, they were muffled. No, you cannot really hear what they were saying like that. But I was able to make out that Professor R was like saying names, dates, times, and that was it. Anything else, I couldn't really hear the full blown conversation. B said the same thing. Other guys said the same thing. Um, Candace, we never got a chance to talk to her again. So Professor R, he continues to work at the school. We continue to take his class, and actually, the story time that I have for you guys tomorrow involves Professor R too as well. Okay, so I let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that Professor R was fibbing with us? Do you think that it was really something out there that day? Because I mean, we did hear the voice. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe Professor R could have had some recording devices out there or something. But just tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. And if you've ever heard like anything about that, like hearing voices or hearing people that you know talking like out in the open, like the plains or the wooded areas or anything like that, comment below. Tell me about it. And also tell me, what do you guys think happened to Candace? Like, she's just gone. She finds the shackles and then she's gone. She's never come back again. Never came back to the school again. Never nothing again. Another thing too, guys, please comment and tell me what y'all think about me. Because people, they have like a love-hate relationship with B. It's like they love him because he's skeptical, but at the same time they're like, screw B, he's too negative. It's a lot of students that was like that when it came down to B. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow, and I definitely have an even more wilder story tomorrow than I had today.